The FBI recently arrested 3 very high-ranking police officers in New York. Apparently, their addiction to powdered donuts wasn't fueled by your typical sugars. An Alabama police officer forced a man to perform oral sex on him at gunpoint. This is breaking news because for the first time, it wasn't a relative and it wasn't an animal. 4 dead in Arizona as the heat wave continues to rise. I think we know who the true culprit is behind this one. In a recent confrontation, Mark Zuckerberg revealed the information, "I am not a lizard." Sounds like a rather reptilian thing to say to me. My name's Kyle Girouard, and this is In Dollar News. Governor Kasich signs an Ohio bill that ends Planned Parenthood funding in Ohio. Touch base in a few years to watch MTV's new reality show, 500,000 Pregnant Ohio Teenagers. Starring 500,000 pregnant Ohio teenagers. Seems a little impractical. Scientists are saying now that seas are rising faster than they have in 2,800 years. What they aren't saying is the direct correlation to teenage girls at Justin Bieber concerts. In the mundane and yet ever-prevalent world of pop culture, Taylor Swift is giving $250,000 to music star Kesha as she battles her way out of contract with her producer. Maybe if Kanye hadn't verbally slapped the shit out of Swift back in 2009, she could be helping you get out of debt too, yay. A Japanese man creates a humanoid robot that could serve as a true companion and solve loneliness in people. Sounds like I finally have a chance at not dying alone after all. And in another story where shitty movie plots come to life, Belgium is detaining 6 people over a botched train attack. Apparently, people think that the real world is actually a spaghetti western version of a Fast and the Furious movie. Easy there, Clint Eastwood. Wildlife officials are saying that a woman was attacked by a bear while running a marathon in New Mexico. The bear was interviewed, and he said that he'd been watching a lot of Telemundo recently, specifically some rerun specials on Spain's Running of the Bulls. It's like kids that watch wrestling and then practice a stone-cold stun on their little brothers in the backyard and break their necks. I can still hear my mom saying, "I told you so" now. Recent reports say that the billion-dollar industry of brain training is actually just a sham. Any so-called improvements were just a placebo effect taking place. The company Luminosity agreed to pay the FTC $2 million over deceptive advertising claims this past year. I guess my years of skipping class to play Brain Age weren't worth it after all. An alarming study shows that women's long work hours are linked to heart disease and cancer. Women can't catch a break! Finally, the gender wage gap is lowering, only to find out that, whoops, now that you can make the same amount of money as men, if you do, you're screwed! A woman turned her 2 sons in, 15 and 11, for breaking into a dollar store and stealing cigarettes and candy. Because, you know, hell hath no fury like a mother whose sons did something stupid. My mother would have turned me in for killing a butterfly, or saying the word jerk. If you've ever slept in a hotel, gone camping, or even slept at a friend's place, chances are you've woken up the next day feeling a little groggy. Well, when we sleep in a new place, our brains are actually in survival mode, only turning half off, with one hemisphere remaining more awake than the other. So even if you thought you could sleep soundly after those mistakes you made at your brother's bachelor party in Cancun, chances are you're still gonna get a bad night's sleep. The ongoing battle between Apple and the FBI has taken a turn in which Donald Trump is calling for a boycott for Apple products. If you don't know the story, essentially the FBI wants to gain access to a terrorist's iPhone, but giving them the key is more giving them a skeleton key, which will give the FBI access to every single user's data, which includes those Snapchat nudes you accidentally sent to your cousin. The problem here isn't just one small step for Apple, it's the next giant leap towards Big Brother watching over you. Speaking of small steps and giant leaps, NASA, NASA, the space program that everyone thought was shut down a couple years ago, well, they've recently opened up 14 spots for their next astronaut program. And with only 18,300 plus applicants, you can be sure that your best friend's cousin might know a guy whose boss's uncle got a chance at a phone interview at NASA. Which is probably for the best, since the last time a group went to space, their coworker got killed by a 500-foot tidal wave. What? Interstellar wasn't based on a true story? Next you're gonna tell me that Matt Damon didn't go to Mars either? Mother... Senators and governors alike, such as Marco Rubio, Matt Bevin, and Patrick McCrory, have all been very vocal on the hard-to-grasp concept of picking a field of education that's actually going to earn you money. McCrory notes on the topic that education shouldn't be based on butts in seats, but more about how many of those butts can actually get jobs. Rubio also has called for more welders and less philosophers. And I couldn't agree more with these statements. Because if you look at a future where Bernie Sanders had won the presidential election, you would see that pink-haired feminazi in your English 101 class who's paying virtually next to nothing for her degree in gender studies and sexuality, while you're up to your ears in debt trying to at least pay off your student meal plan by working at the sushi bar that turns into a strip club past 11 p.m. And let me tell you, you're not rolling any sushi, and the patrons don't tip very well on the nights that you work. An Israeli man was recently stabbed furiously while fundraising for charity in the Central District of Israel. Unfortunately for the attacker, the stabbee then pulled the knife out of his neck and used it to stab and neutralize the original assailant. Stabbing within a stabbing. Stabception. And in duller news, that's all we have for today, guys. If you like my YouTube video, please like and subscribe. Thanks, have a good day.